or afternoon or
Afternoon, evening, I'm not sure what it is. It's kind of a strange time, isn't it? It's always, yeah.
You all right?
Yes, I'm good, thank you. How have you been?
Not too bad, not too bad. Jan's not here yet. She's still stuck at the house. It's supposed to be the last day the builders are in, but they've got some problems. So she's stuck there at the moment. So, but we'll
Okay.
carry on.
Okay, no worries. So talk to me about your little poppets. How have they been? Look at them both just sitting there.
I know, I'm quite surprised actually. They've not been too bad. He's been very, yeah, okay, thank you. Quite mixed. I think the walking has been very good. I think they're a lot better. We walk them separately, together, and they're getting the hang of it. They stop at the curve, so I'm quite happy with the walking side of it.
Okay.
There's because we still use a short lead when going around town, and they're quite good. I mean, Lola's mixed. Sometimes she doesn't want to go for a walk, and sometimes she does, which I'm not too fussed about because she always ends up going. Once you carry her a little bit, and then she's quite happy walking.
Yeah.
And then another day she'll just go straight out and off she goes. So and that works quite well. Just get used to it. Whereas Olive should just go out all the time if she could. She loves it. And when we're out in the park area, we just let them on the extendable lead, and they just love it running around. So I'm quite happy, and they come back, but they still keep looking. So
Yeah.
that's a good thing. And they do a lot more walking with us as opposed to just always trying to pull ahead. But then they do still pull ahead at times, still see stuff. So that's good. I think I think I was saying in the email that the recall has not been too bad. I think in the gardens, out in the garden here, they're very good at coming back now.
An improvement, definitely.
Oh, definitely. I mean, sometimes they'll once they get the nose down on something, they'll just go off. Not around the neck. Oh, okay. That sometimes they'll just go off, and then that's it.
Okay.
But they always come back. They're always very good. So yeah, it's definitely an improvement. Definitely getting better. I think we've still got a lot more work to do to get it right. And I think where we still got the biggest challenges is the barking, getting that. I think when they are on the lead and see another dog, most of the time they'll have a moan at it, a go at it. Sometimes it's, I mean, even when we're on the short lead and you're talking to them constantly, it's weird because the odd dog, you're just talking to them and they'll just ignore it, walk past it. Even when we cross, because usually we just cross over the road if we can. Avoid it, but sometimes you just can't avoid that, and they're fine. And then other times they can be right next to you, you can talk in the same way, and they'll just have a right old go. And I think it just takes one of them, and then obviously the other one kicks off. And I think walking them separately, we found that Olive is generally the more submissive one, and she's quite happy. She'll rarely say anything else, and she'll just carry on walking. And it's Lola that even if she's on her own, she'll have a little yap, and sometimes a bit of a moan at other dogs that come past.
Okay.
Tried different things like the crouching down, praising them a lot when they don't do anything, or they just walk past the dog. And we haven't quite got the pattern right yet for whatever reason. I mean, I took them out again at lunchtime together, and again, I'd say, yeah, probably 70% of the dogs we walk past that they just had a good old moan at. And then there are other times when they go, they'll try to go up to the other dogs, and the tails are wagging away. So I think one of the things that Jan's done over the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks, probably longer actually, is that she's got a friend who's got a border collie that's a puppy. So she's been alternating, taking the girls out one at a time and meeting up with a friend, and they go for a walk. And they found that she can take them off, whichever one she's got can take them off the lead, and they just walk very close to her come back all the time. So that's brilliant.
Mhm.
And they don't get to, after the initial little moan at the dog, they then just get on fine. Now they had a few problems last week. The border collie was a bit overexcited and just kept landing on, jumping on Olive.
Okay.
So they sort of split them up at that point. But then the following day, they went round and met again just to try and socialise them again, and they were fine. So I think it's we're just trying to keep that up so that at least because they're friends and they're always going to be there. So just try and get them used to it. And I think last weekend I took them to see Natasha's dog Mabel,
Mhm.
and it's Saturday, amazingly they didn't have a go at her. Previously they'd just been barking at her, and this time they were just quiet. So okay, no, don't do that. And so yeah, it's the barking that's the hardest challenge to get right and get consistent.
Okay.
I think everything else, I think it may not be quite where you want it yet, but I'm conscious it'll just take us time. So yeah, I mean, in thing like the toilet training, it's amazing. Up until today, the last 2 weeks has been brilliant, right?
That's
Out
good.
time. And then this morning, unfortunately, I was on a call for an hour and a half, and they both had an accident in here. But that's just the way it is. I just couldn't get away. Now, what they did do was bark at me to tell me
Okay.
I can't complain. But apart from that, they've been very, very good at that side of it. So I think it's you can definitely see the improvements, definitely.
Good. Well, I'm glad that you can see the improvements. What I would say about the barking and the interaction. Now, their play that they're doing, it looks relatively healthy. So, Lola just came over, didn't she? She had a bit of a shake as if she'd just come out of the bath. So it was a kind of a really a
Yeah.
big shake like that.
Yeah.
And that's one of two things. So in that situation, it looks like is a calming sign that she's saying, "I've had enough now."
Yeah.
And just leave me be for a few minutes, and then she's chosen to go back and interact again. So
Yeah.
you can see there's a lot going off between them. Just there, Olive
Good girl. Good girl. Good girl.
Olive just put her nose onto the mat and just stayed there for a couple of seconds, and then Lola just moved away.
Yeah.
So got some good communication going between them. Now, there we go. Now they're both just sitting back again.
Girls.
So in terms of the barking, now we need to be looking at the obviously it is kind of an ongoing process, but if they're not able to walk past, I mean 70% is a big
Yeah.
percentage that they're barking at.
Yes.
So rightly so, if one barks, the other one is going to bark.
Yeah.
And I would be looking at, so I know you said you're talking to them all the time. I would look at a short, snappy word that lets them know that they're doing the right thing. So again, when they're doing exactly the right thing, so they're walking alongside you and you just say yes and they get a treat. Okay, so yes, treat. And like, don't drag the yes out. So it's not a yes while they're walking in front of you.
Right. Yeah.
But as soon as they see that dog, I would practice it without even having a dog around you. So I would practice when there isn't another dog around, when you know that there isn't another dog around, or you can't see any dogs around. And I would just practice the walking. Now, you might think I'm a bit crazy by saying this, but if we're practicing without anything being there, when there is something there, they know what's expected of them.
Yeah.
Rather than they see a dog, they get all excited about the dog and start barking, and we're too late because they're either getting a little bit stressed or a bit excitable, and we're trying to teach them something in that moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
True.
so
Yeah.
along with all the rest of the training as well, and that's why I was saying not last time, the time before, about when you're going out for your walks, do a few laps around the garden to kind of get them in tune with you.
Yeah.
So that they're set up for that walk. Now, like literally as soon as they're in position next to you, yes, reward, yes, reward. And what you can then start doing is just saying yes and delaying the reward. So when they are quiet and they're doing what you want them to do, that you want more of, they will start to learn, oh yeah, dad's just said yes, so we're going to get a treat at some point. but when's that going to come?
Yeah.
So it's kind of alongside the training that we've already done, but it's kind of just tidying it up slightly.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does, yeah, because one of the things I've been trying to get them to do a lot more is to sit and watch. And I think we noticed it actually more with Olive, actually. Quite often when we're at the curbside, she started sitting now as well. Not always. I mean, sometimes quite often they forget and they'll just carry on. And
Is that Jan?
I don't think so. Hang on, just check.
Why don't you just call them back to you?
Right. Come on, Olive. Come on. Right. That's it. Good girls. No, I think it's probably next door because we live in a terrace here, so they hear all sorts of every noise possible. And I think it's so yeah, I've been trying to do a lot of the sit and the watch with them, just to try and get them used to that and looking at it. Just remembering what you're saying about getting to look at you all the time as much as possible. And sometimes that works. Still not quite consistent with it. I think to me, when they go out and they'll bark at the dogs, I don't get embarrassed. I know Jan gets embarrassed, but I've got over that stage of getting embarrassed. It's more thinking about trying to think of what do I need to do to try and encourage them not to do it as much. I'm not expecting them always to stop, but it's I mean, there's quite a lot of dachshunds around in town at the moment. And it's interesting, probably a good half of them bark just the same way as these two do. And then but they met a couple at lunchtime when we went out, and they were about 2 years old, I think 2 and 3, and they just went for these two first. So it's quite interesting just trying to do different things. Whether I'm trying to do too many different things at once, I'm not too sure.
Quite possibly. It may be that because they're already in that situation that they're not able to then listen to you, and then the next time something similar happens, that they're already barking, and they're trying to get you to give them that attention, because the likelihood is that they're barking because they're alerting you that there is another dog there, and it may be some of the time that they actually want to get to that other dog. Now, don't just rely on their tails wagging for them, like for us putting an emotion on how they're actually feeling. So even a dog that's really upset, a dog that's really annoyed, and a dog that's really stressed can still wag their tail. So even like the most aggressive of dogs, now I'm not saying that we're aggressive in the slightest, but even the most aggressive of dogs can wag their tail still. Okay. So even though they're wagging their tail, what's the rest of the body doing? Is the rest of the body nice and relaxed? Is it quite tense? Are their ears like pinned back? Are their ears still nice and floppy? So there is a lot to take in. But you know, if you look back on these videos, I mean, look at these little relaxed, and are sitting on the mat now, look. Like, and that's like your relaxed pose. So look at her ears and make sure that you kind of know about what she's about as well. So that when you start seeing, because it may be that when they see another dog, like the tail might go straight up in the air.
Yeah.
It might tuck underneath them. Now, from a behavior and body language point of view, we'd be looking at what are they doing.
Come on, girls. Come on. Come on, girls. Thank you. Come on. Come on. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Okay, so
probably from next door coming home, to be honest.
Say that again.
There's probably someone next door coming home because they come home around about now. So.
Okay, so thinking about like in that circumstance, what else could you do in this circumstance? So they're barking at something. What could you do?
So I think sometimes we'll take them. In the past, have taken them outside to see who's there and show them that actually there's either nobody there. Or just play toys with them, just try something different and carry on, because sometimes they'll just carry on.
Okay, so what about your thank yous?
Sometimes do that, which just didn't do then, did I? No, sometimes do that. I tried that, yeah. But, yeah, true.
Have you seen much improvement with your thank yous?
Or
has it not been practiced enough to know yet?
It's mixed. I think what we did was the thank yous, and then you remember you're saying about doing maybe just a timeout in a different room. we've
Mhm.
tied it in with that a bit more this time. So where it might be in the office, we'll do the thank yous and then take them out of the room for a couple of minutes and left them there. And it seems to have more effect on Lola than Olive. Olive just carries on. I tried it again earlier today, and she just carried on barking while she was in the room. I had it last week where the two of them, I was on a call, and they just carried on barking. Regardless of the thank yous, I just brought them into the room, and they had the toys here. They barked for about 5 minutes, and then just went to sleep. And they're all right, but yeah, probably need to do that a bit more. Thinking about it.
So it's quite a nice one because it's quite an effective one, and what they start to realise is that they don't need to bark as much. So, I mean, my dog still barks. Don't get me wrong, my dog's not mute by any means.
Yeah.
She does bark,
Yeah.
but all dogs will bark to some extent. But we can reduce the amount of barking. So the 3 thank yous is a really nice one to be able to reduce the barking. So what often happens is if they're barking at everything in the house, it's likely that they're going to take that outside with them and then bark at everything outside as well.
Yeah.
Because they're used to doing that to get your attention or to tell you that there's something there to alert you, and then they're transferring that outside. So some of it is going to be about they're a little bit worried, and some of it is going to be about alerting you when they're outside with the other dogs.
I mean, one of the things I've tried to do a couple of times, a few times, is when I'm in the office, if sometimes they'll play around, start barking, and I know what it is that they want me to pick them up, and because I said I sometimes have them on the desk, their donut, which is great, but I'm trying to control it a bit more so it isn't automatic. They bark, they go in there. So the last few days I've been trying to just sort of control it a lot more. Like today, they've only had it once. They've been up there once, and that was it. The other times they'll bark, and I found if I just ignore them for a while, they'll just stop after barks and then go off and play. So I tried that one. Like I say, it's worked reasonably successfully so far, just in the last couple of days, because I just realised that I was just automatically putting them in there far too much. And becoming a bit reliant on that, and then that got me thinking about, well, at some point we'll need to leave them on their own. And we've not got quite that spot yet where I think I would leave them for 5-10 minutes, but I'm not sure how much barking they get.
And that's the thing, isn't it? Because they are so accustomed to you being there. Excuse me. So it may be that when they come over to you, so if you think about every single time that they bark, like, what are they barking at, what are they barking for, and what's your response to them? So with the barking when you're at your desk, they know that they're barking for your attention. Okay, so when they go to the back door in the toilet and they bark, they get your attention. When they bark because somebody's at the front door, you're getting up and you're giving them the attention. So they're alerting you. So what they're doing is they're using behaviors, so in that case barking, that they know gets your attention, and it works for them. And dogs will only do what works for them. So if we can make it not work, so rightly so, if you're ignoring them when they come and bark at you, if you've got the opportunity to do that, then do that, because what you're teaching them is that barking doesn't work. It doesn't get them anything. And that's kind of along the same lines as the 3 thank yous. So because they've got a consequence to their behavior, they're not too keen on doing it again, because they're like, oh, we didn't get anything last time. So in terms of, like, if they started barking now, you could quite easily just say, on your mat, and get them to go to their mats rather than the barking. So that would be a distraction. Or you could use your 3 thank yous. Now, it's dependent. So if we're letting one bark out, it may be that one bark is acceptable. It may be that a couple of barks is acceptable. But it's when it's that tangent of bark, 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 bark. And then it's like, oh my goodness me, what are you even barking at? But like, take it really slowly. I mean, they are of an age where they will get particularly barky, but if you can get it under control to a point now, then as they get older, they should get less barky rather than more barky, because you're putting things in place at such a young age as well.
Yeah, and I'm not expecting them never to bark. That's unreasonable. I think you just
Yeah,
control it a bit better.
yeah.
Come here. I think one of the things we've also noticed in the past week, they seem to have grown quite a bit longer in the last week or two. They've definitely noticed it, and they're into jumping at the moment, and just trying to discourage that quite a bit.
Okay.
But
Okay.
they do that. Yeah, they all of a sudden they just started jumping off the sofa, which
Okay.
is not brilliant idea.
Yeah.
Um,
So are they jumping up as well, or are they just jumping off it?
No, they can't jump up yet. Although Lola did do it one day. She took a running jump at Jan that was sat on there, and amazingly, she didn't break a stride. She just jumped straight onto it. I think she shocked herself.
Wow.
But that's the one and only time one of them has managed to get up there. But it's yeah, they just don't jump down. I'm just trying to avoid them doing that. That's easier said than done, actually.
Yeah. So I mean, with with the jumping off, if there's a particular time of day that they do that, if it's in the evening, when they need to go to the toilet or whatever it is that they're doing, so trying to look at when they're most likely to jump off the sofa.
Yeah.
And just preventing it really. So
yeah.
either
It is usually the evenings. I mean, I take them out quite a few times during the evening. If we're watching the TV, then it'll be every couple of ad breaks. They just look at me and know that I'm about to take them out, and it's almost like they just roll their eyes. But then, yeah, every now and then, if they hear something on the TV, they'll jump off and go and sit in front of the TV, or things like that. So. But yeah, it's not too bad, but it's just trying to avoid them hurting themselves.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, it may be that you just use something like wait or stay.
Yeah.
So asking them to stay in position. Do they do that? Are they already
Yeah.
doing that?
Yeah, no, they will. I mean, when they're on the sofa, quite often we will get up, pop into the kitchen, get a drink, and you just say stay.
Mhm.
And usually good. I mean, it's a bit like usually we quite often say stay. Use wait a lot more when we're walking and we're at the curbside. So we'll say stop.
Yep.
And then if there's something, if they have to wait a bit, we'll say wait. So we use the stop and wait there mostly, and then indoors or when we want them to stay where they are, just say stay, and they're usually pretty good.
Yeah, so I would look at like really using that as well then. So if they know what the word already means, then use that in an evening. So before you even move to get up, ask them to stay.
Yeah.
And then get up. Or if you can see that they're getting a little bit twitchy, like they're going to jump off, then just ask them to stay and then pick them up and put them off, put them down onto the floor.
Yeah.
So that it's just the tiny little things just to tweak a little bit. And just watching them playing, they're actually really interesting playing.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you can. I don't know. Can you see them on your screen as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll just do a little bit more down. There you go. Oh, there you go.
They're like, oh, you've moved. It must be treat time. So, yeah, when they're playing together, they're really interesting because they're communicating really nicely with one another. They're literally like breaking off, having a little shake, breaking off, having a sniff of the like they're not really sniffing anything. It's called a displacement. So where they just sniff the floor.
Yeah.
And it's just saying it's almost like a tap out. So like literally they're saying, yeah, that's enough. I've had enough now.
I mean, they're pretty good at the play fight. They're both quite submissive. They take it in turns of being submissive, and it generally doesn't get too serious. You get the odd occasion where they get carried away, and you have to just do time out with them.
It's nice play. There's some nice playing going off.
Yeah, and they seem quite happy. They'll do that for a bit, and then they'll have a snooze afterwards. I think some people get a bit worried when they see the teeth come out, and it's like, well, nah, if they're hurting each other, they yelp.
No, they're literally. I mean, what we have to remember is that ultimately, when dogs are playing, they are play fighting. So they are rehearsing for a fight, but they don't really know that either at the same time. But the behaviour that they're doing is lovely. Honestly, the communication between one another is really nice. So obviously the teeth came out and they were doing a bit of like mouthing one another. going to try and hump her now.
Oi.
So this is an indication now. So the humping behaviour is likely because she's overexcited.
You know, that's the
Okay.
first time she's done that in the past week.
So a little collar hold just to calm her down. Call her over to you.
Lola, come here, come here, come here.
Little collar hold on to her for a sec and just let her calm down.
Go. That's it. Good girl. Good. Good girl. That's it. Good girl. That's it.
And what you're doing there is, A, you've intervened. So
Good girl.
Olive is like, oh,
Good girl.
oh, right, okay. But that's play stopped then.
Yeah.
And you've literally just forced that tap
Yeah.
out for them. So the humping behaviour is really overexcited.
Pardon? Olive, come here. Come on. Olive, come on. On your mat. Come on. Good girl. Good girl. Come here. Come here. Olive, come here. That's it. Come on your mat. On your mat. Good girl. Come on your ear. Come on. Come on. Lola here. I realise I haven't got your treat. Go on. Come on. Lola there. Olive. Olive. Come on. Good girl.
Much nicer.
I mean, like you say, compared to 6-7 weeks ago, that would have been impossible.
And it's all about having that lead up to it. So we can't run before we can walk, and there's certain things that we have to be able to do before we can do other things. So being able to settle to a place,
Yeah.
you have to be able to, you have to be able to sit or give eye contact or focus before you can actually get into that position. Because on week 1, if we'd have tried to get them to sit on a mat, you'd have been like mind blown, and they probably would have been like, I don't know what you're trying to get me to do. But they, when the communication is there with you, they are listening to you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're tons better now at looking at us and get slowly getting there.
And they're still young. They're still very young, and obviously they're going to be hitting. Yeah, they're going to be hitting adolescence very shortly, so they are going to be testing those boundaries. So it's about thinking, what do you want, and how do you want them to behave, and do they know how to behave already? Do they know what you're asking of them, or do they need to be taught away from that situation? So I don't know. Today, do you want to go over some of the walking techniques?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. Just run
So
through that.
we can really get you so that when there isn't anything around, so they have got the loose lead and they're walking alongside you, and where to have that marker cue so that you can actually, that marker word, so that they're in exactly the right place at the right time. Yeah. So
Okay,
if you want to clip one of them onto a lead and have some treats, I don't know, in your pocket or somewhere not necessarily too visible for them.
Yeah. Come on. Come on. Oops. Come on. Hang on. Wait.
Okay.
Lola, come here. Come here, Lola. No. What we do find is Olive. I think we said before, Olive's the one that will eat anything and just eat, and Lola is a lot more sedate in her eating.
Delicate,
So
yeah.
we do have to be careful how the two of them eat. Like in the mornings, Lola's not interested in having any breakfast for quite a while. She'll have it later on, whereas Olive is straight away. And we have to watch out that quite often she'll try and pinch food off.
Nick her food.
Which
is often a habit that they get into because they are from the same litters as well. That when they've been fed, they will have been fed together.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to just pick a word. So yes, good, or nice. And you're going to use it really, really short and snappy. So whenever, who is it you've got on the lead? Lola? Olive, sorry. I couldn't see where the lead was attached then. So as you're walking, every time Olive is facing the same direction as you are, and she is on the loop of the lead, so it's nice and loose, I want you to just say yes and reward. Okay, so it's going to be a very short and snappy yes and reward her. So anytime she does something that you like,
Yes.
reward. And then turn around with her. So you're looking for her to be turning round, whichever way you're going, you want her to be coming round with you.
Good girl. Come on, this
So
way.
just yes. I just want you to say yes. That's all I want you to say.
Olive. Yes.
Keep going.
Yes.
I want you to really think what you're saying yes for as well. So you can call her to you because she's obviously.
Come on, Olive. Come on. Yes. Olive, come on. Yes. Go. Oh, no. Olive. Olive. Yes. Lola's just bouncing around. Yes.
That's okay. She's a good distraction.
There you go. All gone. That's it.
Does that make sense what we're doing there?
Yes. Yeah. It does.
So rather than having a full-blown conversation that's one way, that she's like, well, I've got no idea what you're actually saying. If you're just saying yes, and she gets a reward.
Good girl.
So look at her being alongside you when you're giving that reward as well. So think about a conveyor belt, and you are the conveyor belt. So you want Olive to stay with you on that conveyor belt journey. And every time you turn, you're going to have to talk to her to tell her to turn. So it might be that you say something like this way or around this way.
Olive, come on, good girl. Olive, yes. Olive. Olive.
Oh, she fell over a donut there.
Oh, yeah. We did get these little things, you know, the little Kong things, and they love these.
Yeah, good stuff.
Inside, so they're quite happy. They kept them busy for a while. Olive. Yes.
And this is what we're looking for. So you can see that Olive's body language is nice and calm. Her ears are floppy. Look how good. I mean, her tail is going, but her whole body language is really nice and soft. She's nice and relaxed. So just go off camera slightly. So just walk towards the door and just keep going with her. So this time you're just going to do a few more steps than what you have been doing. And anytime she's alongside you and she's doing what you want her to do, yes, and reward. And I'd probably go as far as to just swap the hands that you've got your lead in. So you've got your treat hand is the one that's closest to her.
Ooh, right.
And the lead is on the other side.
Yeah.
That's the one. And now walk with her. So reward her out of the hand closest to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that might make it a bit easier rather than her coming across you and you crouching. I know we've done a lot of work around the crouching, but if we haven't quite got that walking right, she's going to keep coming round. So when you take your step with your right foot and she's almost behind your leg, that's when you want to be rewarding her. Or your left leg if you're swapping over.
Yes.
That's the one. So you're blocking her from getting in front of you.
Yeah.
And you're rewarding her at the side. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah.
Okay. Do we swap dogs?
Come on.
Sorry, I've got a question.
No. Right. You've had
And then what you could do with Olive now is ask Olive to go and lay on a mat.
Okay. Olive, on your mat. Oops. Where'd you leave? Olive. Mat. Olive, come on. Olive, come on, Matt.
Or you could put that treat into the Kong thing at the side of you so that she could do that while she's on there.
Lola. Right. Lola, come on. Lola, this way.
Yes, reward.
Oops.
Just so she's getting the right idea of where she should be, what she needs to be doing, and when she's going to get a reward. And what we're teaching her here is that when she's lingering around your feet, that's where she gets the rewards. Not when she's up ahead of you, not when she's lingering behind, but as soon as she's alongside your leg.
Lola. Not Olive. Lola. Come on. Oh,
So it may be that with Olive that you just throw a treat for Olive.
oh, Olive over there. Lola. Yeah, Lola's tends to be sitting a little bit more, but come on, Olive. Lola, I mean. Lola.
I'm glad it's not just me.
No, we get them mixed up all the time. Lola. This is what we sometimes have in the evenings when she doesn't want to go for a walk. She'll just sit down, literally, and that'll be it for about 5 minutes.
Okay, so
Get up. Come on, Olive. There you go. Olive, no. Lola, Lola. Lola, come on. Lola. No, Lola. Come on. Oh. Okay.
so anything that she does that you do like?
Okay.
Yes. Good girl. Take one step forwards.
Lola.
Oh,
Lola.
be careful of that tension around her neck.
Yeah.
Because what will often happen is if we pull on the lead, then they will just dig their heels in even more because it's a bit uncomfortable around their neck for them.
Lola. Good girl. Yes.
Maybe
Yes.
just take Olive with you if Olive's going to come with you, but Olive isn't going to get many treats because she's not on the lead.
Lola. Lola.
Yeah, because now she's like, no, get off me. You've pulled my head. I
Yeah.
don't want to do this. Okay, so just unclip her. Have you got just a flat lead?
It's in the car which Jan's got.
Okay, okay, no worries. So
Yeah.
let's get Lola just walking without the lead. So if you pop a treat into the Kong thing and let Olive have that.
Right, Olive, there you go.
And then call Lola over to you.
Lola.
Although she's even more interested in that.
Oh, no, Lola.
I was going to say, I thought I was getting confused then. I was right.
Right. Olive, Lola, this way. Lola. Oh, you come over here. Let Olive have that. Right. That's it. Yes.
Nice.
That's it. Yes. Good girl.
And nice and slowly. And if you stand up with her, we'll just go from standing to start with. Reward.
There you go.
So you're going to reward the closest hand to Lola.
Lola. Okay. Lola.
So you're going to pretend she's on a lead.
Yeah.
And whenever she's in that circle around your feet.
Lola. Lola. Yeah, I'm not supposed to be walking around you, Lola. This way.
Yeah, you're supposed to be walking too.
Lola. Yes.
If you walk to the front door, will she come to the front door with you? And then walk all the way back in with her?
Lola. Lola.
She's coming.
Lola.
And so is Olive. Oh, Lola's gone for the Kong on the mat.
Lola. Yes. Lola. Go on, Lola, this way. Lola. Lola. Lola.
Here she comes.
Yes.
Okay. Does that make sense?
It does. And she's always that ties in with just how she walks at times. She's the harder one.
She sounds like my dog, very much like my dog, very hit and miss with walks. Sometimes she really enjoys a walk. Sometimes she's like, I don't want to walk today. And you know what? It's okay if she doesn't want to walk every single day. That's fine, as long as you're not getting destructive behaviour. So it may be that she's just a complete different personality and she prefers to have the puzzle toys. She prefers to have her mind engaged rather than actually her physical exercise. So, I mean, because they are so young, they shouldn't be going on necessarily massive walks anyway. But it may just be that over time her confidence will build. But if every time she goes out and she's on that high alert and she's stressed because she's seeing other dogs, then sometimes actually having less walks can build her confidence a lot more.
I think the one of the things that, I mean, that in the evenings particularly, we'll go out probably just for 10-15 minutes just down the road, and Olive is fine now, and usually Lola she'll actually start going out the door and then just sitting down outside. So we'll carry, because I do live on a main road, so we'll carry, we go down on the back road, and then eventually put her down after about 5 minutes, and she's okay, and she's quite happy at that point.
Yeah.
Although the other interesting thing, the other night it was a bit cold, and she just flat refused. Once she went down walking, she must have felt cold. I don't know.
Hold on her tummy.
Yeah, but yeah, I think in general, I mean, I'm hoping, because I should be moving fairly soon to a quieter area, so it'll be quite interesting to see, because I'm sure she's a bit nervous of the road that goes past, because you do get looked down here.
Okay,
well.
so I mean, if she's nervous of the road, I know you said you live in a terrace house. Have you got you've got a little front garden on the front though?
Just a little garden,
a little bit. So what you could do is you could do some mat work with her on the front garden.
Yeah.
So like have it all closed, have her on a lead, and then just take the mat outside with you and get her to sit on the mat. And what you're doing then is you're helping her associate the sounds of the traffic with something good happening.
True. Yeah.
Or it may be that you go out on the front with some toys and you play a game with her. Or remember the game that we played last time where you literally throw a treat out to the side and then throw another one the opposite direction? It may be that you go outside and play that while they're on the lead.
Yeah.
Get them to go away and come back to you. And again, that is part of recall, but it's also a good fun game that you can use with the noises that are going around her. So you're using it as they're using the traffic as your distraction.
Yeah.
Now she's not too stressed about what is happening. So just giving her other things to do rather than just fixating on the noise of the traffic and getting upset. We can help her with, I mean, it would be called sort of free play, so that she's actually doing something else while we're introducing her to the sounds of that traffic. And then over time, it will then build up. And remembering that they're coming into not only the adolescence, but that second fear stage as well. So some of the stuff that you are going to have taught them, they are just going to forget. It is just going to completely fall out of their brains. So they are going to need to kind of go back over some of the stuff that we have gone through.
Yeah.
Okay. So I had a look back on the original email that you sent around the stuff that you wanted to cover. So if I read it out, I'll read some of it. I'm not going to read it all out because it was a long email.
Yeah. Yes.
But in essence, you've written at the bottom, what do we want? And you've said a bit more structure around the training for us and the dogs, improve toilet training, improve walking and barking, and ensure that myself and Jan deliver a consistent message for the actions, especially when they're being naughty. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you feel in a position like you've achieved that, or do you feel like you're in a better position to be able to control what's happening?
I think it's a mix. I think it's something we've achieved, and it will just keep evolving. But also, I think we've got a better idea. I think it's having the arsenal of a few different things to try. We're definitely more consistent between the two of us, and when we're out and about, and Jan's a lot more confident with the dogs when we're out as well. Although the barking can get a bit annoying, but that's probably just the one bit that I'd say it makes it the hardest part. Toilet training, like I say, tons better. We've had the accident today, but that's my fault. I was busy.
Yeah.
And come on your mat. And so yeah, I think you missed out, didn't you? Go on. And so I think it is definitely better. And it just seemed like a long 6 weeks, 6, 7, 8 weeks, isn't it?
A bit longer, yeah. I think you've had a couple of extra weeks in between, but that's fine, because ultimately it's about how fast it takes them to learn stuff. And some of it is going to be all of it's going to be ongoing until at least they're sort of 12 months old. So all of the stuff, it's not a case of we just teach them once and then that's it. It is ongoing. So everything that we've been going through is for you to is a continued kind of version as well. So although you've got the basics, you can still extend those and make them more difficult. And it's all about that communication element. But
Yeah. And I think we realised that we getting them at the same time as doing house move and doing changes to the house, and that added to the challenge of finding sufficient time to spend dedicated to it. And I think that's where we struggled at the beginning. And then realizing, you just got to spend a few minutes more each day with them, just doing that, just trying to put some structure around it. And that's definitely helped out over the last couple of weeks, where we just spent a bit more time with them. But yeah, I think it's been a lot better. I mean, their sleep is a lot better. They still wake up in the night now, but generally I think it's some of the time it's just because they're cold. And one of the things we are going to do is when I move, and Jan had her work done on her house, we're going to be more of a position to try. We're going to try and train and get them to stay downstairs at night, so that'll be a bit of a challenge. Where Jan's house is, downstairs in the kitchen was just far too cold, so we just had the doors replaced on there. And it's a lot warmer in there now, so I think we're going to try and do that, and that'll be a challenge, but it'll be fun.
You can get Amazon sell like a heat source, so it's like a little heat mat, and you put it in the microwave, and it lasts like most of the night. I don't know if you've seen them. They're about £15. They're just like a circular, like a disc thing, and you just put it in the microwave, and it's almost like a modern day hot water bottle.
There you go. Yeah, I think the other thing that we've also done is, because they were sleeping together in one of these like igloos, and so we've actually split them up now, because they were just getting too big and disturbing each other as they roll over. So now they just sleep in separately in a donut each, and they love it. They're a lot better. So yeah, overall things definitely improved and definitely moving the right way. We've just got to make sure we spend the right time, keep repeating these things and reminding.
And a lot of it is about repetition, but it doesn't have to be difficult either. So like if you're finding it difficult, then I would be questioning, why are you finding it difficult? What is difficult about it? And if you're not enjoying it, then make it more fun. So it shouldn't be like boring to train your dog. It should be good fun. And if you're having fun, they will have fun with you as well. So with the like when you're out, when you're walking with them, ideally what you want is them to see a dog in front of you, and then them to look at you to say, what do you want me to do?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's why we've been doing the eye contact training. That's why we've been doing that quite heavily as well, because if our dogs don't look at us, then they're not listening to us, and they're definitely not following what we want them to do, because they're making their own minds up. So what I would say is, like, overall of everything that we've gone through, like, take it slow. There's no rush for any of it. The barking, just be consistent in what you're doing. So if you're using the 3 thank yous, use the 3 thank yous. If you're using distraction, use distraction. And if you're using like diverting them to like on your mat or something similar, then use that as well. So just keep have them, but be consistent with them. When you're out and about with them, have that couple of minutes just before you actually leave the house. Do a little collar hold in the front garden. Make sure they're nice and relaxed. Make sure they're able to focus on you, so that they don't just keep going bang, 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 bang at every single dog that comes into view, because that's not going to be very pleasant for them either.
Okay. Come on. Okay. Thank you. On your mat. Come on. Go. So that's just somebody going out in the back garden there.
Okay.
Come on. Go.
And it's not uncontrollable.
No.
It's controlled to a degree, and it will get better, but it takes that practice.
Yeah. I mean, things like that, I'm not too fussed about. It's because they've told me somebody's out there. Now they've stopped, haven't you? Hey, you stopped. You stopped, haven't you? Good girl. So yeah, I think it's definitely just taking time. And I think the other thing is, saying when Jan's been out with a friend that's got this border collie. That is amazingly well trained, but they're geared towards that straight off. So she's seen the benefit that actually spending a bit more time it can work. So that's worked well.
Yeah, and what I would say is about the interaction with the border collie. So what we ultimately what we want our dogs to be doing is being nice and calm around other dogs. Now, if they don't know how to be calm around another dog, they're going to struggle to be calm. So it may be that as Jan is meeting her friend, if whoever she's got, if she's got Olive, if Olive is pulling and getting really excited to get to that dog, then turn around and go the opposite way.
Yeah.
Until Olive is able to focus on you, listen to what you want before she then goes into that meeting of the other dog. Because if she goes in really excited, the chances are that when she starts seeing other dogs out and about, then she's going to start pulling and getting excited to get to them. And if we keep allowing that to happen, then every dog that you see, they're then going to start pulling towards because they want to get to them.
Definitely. Yeah.
So like take it nice and steady and really think, actually, is my dog pulling me towards something? Should we be going the other way and making a little bit of space? It doesn't have to be like, you don't have to walk the whole distance back home. You can literally turn around, take a few steps away and reset them, get their attention back on you, and then go forwards again. So you literally, so imagine that the collie's here and you're coming this way. As soon as they start pulling, just turn around, go the other way for a few steps, reset them, get their attention, and then start going back into the collie. Yeah, it is a collie, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, go back into the collie again. So like taking it again, just taking it really slowly. So are they doing behaviors that you want them to do? Yes or no? If no, then what do you need to do? The likelihood is make more space until they can reset and then go with it that way. Is that helpful?
It is helpful, yes, thanks. And like I say, I think we've got the tools there to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we needed, really, the consistency and some ideas on just making sure, like I say, having the two together gives the extra challenge, but
yeah,
fun.
It's hard work. It's hard work with two.
Oh yeah, but it's great fun. I mean, the pleasure you get from them is just amazing.
Yeah, and there's so much more like interaction going off with you.
Yeah, come on, Lola. There you go.
Okay, so we've got about 5 minutes ish left. Is there anything that we haven't gone through that you want to go through? Any questions that are unanswered for you?
No, I think we're just gearing up. I think for the next challenge when they come into season. I think as well, and that'll be a fun one. So I think it's nothing jumps out. Like I say, it's mainly trying to get on top of the barking at the time. That's been the key thing there. I'm quite happy with how they progressed. But yeah, no, I think nothing jumps out.
Okay, so when they go into season, it's always worth having some form of separation so that they're not necessarily in with each other, just because sometimes they can get a little bit like survival of the fittest.
Yeah.
So it's always worth, just because you may see behaviours that you don't want to see. So one may get a bit fiery or the other one, and what you may find is that one will come into season, finish the season, then the other one will come into season. It's unlikely they'll both be in season at the same time.
Yeah.
So yeah, just be mindful that you may need to have a crate, you might need to have a stair gate up, just to be able to actually physically separate.
Yeah, I think we got ourselves a little crate for them as well, and they're just letting them get used to that at the moment. Okay. That's there in the evenings, and they go in, have a play, and then come out. So yeah, and I think now the building work is finishing. I'll say today, but it sounds like it's going to be tomorrow. But this week, it does mean that we can separate now, because up until now, Jan hasn't been able to have either of them at home because there's been no water and no electricity most of the time.
Right.
So they've always been, apart from the Wednesdays when we split and gone off with the other friend, they've been together the last probably 3 weeks the whole time. So that's what we do want to do, try and split them up. Splitting them up back twice a week was making a big difference.
Yeah.
That worked really well, so we want to do that again. Definitely.
Yeah, and that will help, like in terms of their learning as well, because it quite often when you have two at the same time, then one will always kind of be more forward than the other one.
Yeah.
but often we'll miss that, and then before long, as they're getting bigger, then that kind of that stronger one will be the one that kind of starts picking on the smaller one, and then it can end up being a little bit like, well, I'm bigger and stronger than you are, so I'm gonna take your food off you, I'm gonna push you out of the way, and it can have a big impact on the other one. So it's about just having that learning, and that's why it's great that there's obviously yourself and Jan, then you're able to train them separately but in the same room as well, so you're able to give them that one-to-one attention that they will definitely need.
Yeah, I think the eating side of it, we definitely we make sure we're here when they're eating, because if we're not, then Ollie will dive in and get Lola's if she can.
Yeah.
Definitely. So,
yeah,
and she's the heavier one at the moment.
yeah, and that's the thing, because you know, ultimately they are animals, and they will, if the food is there, they will take it.
Yeah.
And if the other one isn't going to sort of stand up for themselves, then they'll just get pushed out of the way, and they'll just push them out of the way, and they're not bothered.
Definitely.
Yeah, there's no kind of love lost when it comes to food, absolutely not, especially with multi dogs. And I mean, the other thing you can do is just ask for a wait, so ask them to wait or stay, whichever you're obviously using a combination of both, but getting them to wait until the other one's finished before they then eat.
Yeah, definitely.
They're just back on going crazy mode now, aren't they?
Yeah, they'll just go backwards and forwards, and probably straight after this they'll doze off for a bit.
Their playing definitely looks like relatively equal. Like one's going to the other one like mouthy. They're not biting one another. They're just showing their teeth and practicing stuff.
Yeah, and like I say, it is, they take it in turns to be submissive. So I'm not too fussed, because for a while we thought, 2-3 weeks ago, that Ollie was using her extra weight a lot more, but actually Lola just pushes back and just uses her. It's no different.
I think it's always worth like monitoring, because sometimes it can be a little bit like brothers and sisters. If they're play fighting and they're messing around, then it doesn't take too much for one to, you know, push the other one too hard, or, you know, I didn't like hurt the other one in some kind of way, and then the other one comes back even harder, and then the other one comes back.
Yeah, they've only really done it once, and that was last week during the day, and I don't know what happened. They were in the office, and it was it was Lola just yelped really loudly, and then she just went for Olive, and Olive just sat there and stopped, and just had them time out for a while. So I don't know what had happened at that point, but clearly she'd just gone too far.
Yeah,
it grabbed her ear or something, but
possibly, yeah. And it doesn't take much, but they're also learning like bite inhibition. So when they're actually biting one another, that you know that they're not biting hard because neither of them are squealing.
Yes, yeah.
So they're actually learning to have soft mouths between each other. So that mouthing that they're doing there, that's just normal dog type kind of behavior. But yeah, they're obviously, they're not using their mouths to bite one another. And if they are, then they're doing it so soft that they're not actually doing it to hurt each other.
Yeah. They're good. Yeah, they're funny though. It makes you laugh when you just see them play like that though. Right. But yeah, thanks for that. It's been good.
That's okay. I hope you've enjoyed like the sessions and you've learned some stuff, and it's been interesting watching over the last few weeks, like where you were at and where you are now. But yeah, I mean, I'm still here. I'm not going anywhere. So give me a shout if you need anything else. I'll get this recording over to you. Do you want me to put a link on for one of those like heat things for the bed or not?
Yeah, if you could, that'd be great. Because like I said, that's going to be one of the next challenges of how we do that.
Yeah, and it may be that if have you got 2 crates or 1?
At the moment, we've got 1 because we're just trying this one out. And we're going to get another one when because like I say, I should be moving in about a month's time, and where I'm moving, it'll be a lot easier for them to sleep downstairs as well. Yeah,
so maybe that you introduce the crate now, so that they put the bed in the crate, so their donut beds, put that into the crate, so that they know that that bed is in the crate and this is where they stay, and covering the crate over as well helps.
Yeah.
Do you want me to send you some videos over for crate draining?
Yeah, although I was watching one a couple of weeks ago, But yeah, you may as well. Yeah.
I don't know if I've sent you already or not. I'm not sure whether I've sent you those.
On the YouTube channel, I was looking, doing it there.
Yeah, is that on my YouTube channel?
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, yes. Yeah,
Well, maybe I have sent them already then.
You might have either sent it or I was just looking on there anyway.
Yeah, because they're not. I was going to say they're not public access. So if you have seen them, then they'll be from a link that I've sent you.
Already sent then.
Yeah, I'll double check.
Okay.
I'll double check if I've sent them. If not, I'll send them over again anyway.
Okay. Cheers.
But no, it's been a pleasure working with you.
Yeah.
And I look forward to hearing about your little ones as they continue to get older and give me a shout if you need anything.
Yeah, and hopefully have some luck with Natasha's. I think you had a chat with Tash today, did you?
Yeah, I spoke to her this morning. I think I've seen her at the end of the week, towards the end of the week. See if we can't get us Mabel sorted.
Yes, yeah. Like I say, we popped over on Saturday, and these two had barked at her the whole time, so we had to come away. And then on Saturday they were fine, but she's still a bit of a nervous wreck.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of when you're taking those two into a different house, into a different dog, if they are barking, then just leave again and just practice walking away and coming back again. So it's that same principle of, we don't want you barking, come on, let's go. And then they're like, oh, right, okay, well, we want to go inside. And then until they're calm, then take them back in.
Yeah.
And then keep repeating.
Yeah, which is why it was good this week, because they were very so
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, all right. Thanks a lot.
No worries. Well, you take care of yourself, and I'll no doubt I'll speak to you at some point.
I'll chat sometime, yeah. All right, thanks a lot then.
You take care.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.